my, I want to say year 10 teacher, he proposed that we went on a trip, which was at ICE. So that's the Institute of Civil Engineers. And it was an event to promote STEM subjects to young girls of GCSE age. I've got to the event and I think it just opened my eyes to a whole new universe that I wasn't aware of. And I'd say the highlight of that event was meeting a lady. So she worked for Ford at the time, and she specifically worked on the window wiper system of the Ford Fiesta models that came out that year. And just seeing her talk about it with such awe, and it kind of took me back, as I said, being that child who wanted to problem solve and share with the class. I could see that look on her face of, I worked on this system, this is how it's benefiting society. Every time I walk past the Ford Fiesta, I can point at it and say, I worked on that system. So the 15-year-old me was looking at her like, God, this looks like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, this is my calling. I can see myself being that person. And long story short, after that day, you could say the word engineering never left my head. So pretty much I was inspired by a woman engineer to become an engineer. So I'm very grateful for female engineers out there. So a very engineering habit that I have in my daily life, I think, well, firstly, as a systems engineer, I think I start seeing everything as a system. Anything down to like a pen, a table, it's a system. Or even just when I'm driving as well, I feel like I'm more in tune with the car, and I'm one person as well. I like to talk about torque and RPMs and tell people about the different mechanisms to do with the car. So I think my engineeringness in the everyday sometimes can come across as a know-it-all. So sometimes I do keep it to myself. But I'd say the one thing is just seeing everything as systems of systems and start applying systems thinking to everything. I'm like, when I hear about problems, I'm like, why don't you apply systems thinking approach to it? Like, of course, it should be a quick fix, But yeah, I think society has different names for a lot of concepts that systems thinking has already defined. So I think that's my understanding of it. But yeah. So the advice that I would give to young women or young girls who are interested in a career in engineering, I'd say to go for it firstly. I probably counted myself out and didn't consider engineering until someone pitched it to me. But I would say don't necessarily wait for that pitch. Take the time to look into it. I'd say the engineering landscape is also forever changing. You shouldn't be phased if you're a woman, because I think at this point, they want everyone is pretty much open to all. Like, definitely, if you feel you have the skill set, if you feel innovative and creative, don't discount yourself out. Yeah, no, this is a great question, actually. How would I want to see the role of women evolving in engineers over the next 5 years? So I'd say currently, and where I can say I'm proud, is we are increasing our representation. So I may be off, but I know we are around the 20% mark in terms of representation within the industry. I think depending on the specific discipline, it might be a little bit less, it might be a little bit more. But already we are having women come through more, and that is visible. I will say visible to the extent of 20%, so 1 in 5. But again, it would be great to see those numbers increase. But where I think there's still a lot of work to do when it comes to women in engineering is the retention piece. I think, unfortunately, there's still quite a significant number of women who leave the profession after working for less than 10 years, and I think that's due to a number of factors. You can't really pin it on one thing why women are leaving. But I think if we had more opportunities for women to kind of get into middle management, to get into C-suite without having the pressure of, being told you can't be pregnant for the next 5 years, or you're not allowed to, go and get married, and, things like that, because those are as well big factors that play into going up and getting promotions. I think if there's a lot of increased in flexible working, and I think it's just when a manager takes his time to understand his team, a team works more efficiently that way. And I'd say work needs to be done in where we have male managers and managers who don't necessarily want to kind of take the time to get to know their team. Unfortunately, that's where some women then decide to leave. So I think it's all about the industry becoming more of a safe space, more of a place where people feel comfortable to be themselves. It's not just that we're trying to take from one group and give to another, it's more that we're trying to include more people, as it will even better the output of what we're building to be shared amongst everybody else. So, yeah, I think more female managers and C-suites. And I think also we'd probably be more within budget and on time. But yeah, that's something could be up for debate. But I think something in the engineering world is quite reputable for nowadays is being overspent and, you know, over time. So maybe having a more of a balance could help balance some of that out too. I'd say definitely take the time to research, especially as an engineer. One thing about us, when you want to make a decision, you want to make your decision when you're best informed. You want to make a best informed guess. And when you hear best informed, you want to make sure you've had at least every resource that was available to you present and you've had the time to go through. And then you're like, okay, I made the best decision I could make with the information I had. And so I would say also don't be too rigid, like if you are someone who studied mechanical engineering, don't just look for mechanical engineering jobs, look for system engineering jobs, look for design engineering jobs, because you will find that some of the skills that you picked up in your mechanical engineering degree will be translatable into those job roles. And that's one final thing I think I can close on to say that engineering does provide transferable skills. I think if not one of the best kind of domains to do that in, because as I said, with the more integrated components and systems that we have now, you are seeing the more desired engineers are the ones who are polyvalent and have different skill sets. Because if you feel like, oh, I've studied mechanical, but now the world is going towards software and electrical things, there is always still time to pick it up. And already, if you have the skill set of being an engineer, then as I said, it's doing the research and kind of getting into that rhythm of things, because our domain is forever changing and you're forever going to be learning new ways of doing things. So it's better to get into that habit now than waiting later on down the line.